It's before after. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let me get this guarded off the. Oh no, I just got the Dow. Everything up. Help.
Put it on your pants.
There it is. Now I got the guarded off. Okay, everything's gone. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't think they were predicting it. No, I didn't see that at all.
Good morning, everybody. Just to let you know, we're having quite the thunder and lightning storm at the moment. You're probably all having it too. And our internet just blinked. So in case that's a precursor of what might happen, we'll see. We'll do our best this morning. But now it feels quite still. So maybe that'll calm everything down. So let's go inside and have a really deep experience. So we're going to continue with the internal Om sound meditation, doing it 9 times into each energy center. And we'll keep track of the 9 times and remind you when we tend to move, so you can just feel into your own meditation in each energy center and really stay there, expanding, feeling into the space between the breaths and feeling into the space itself, allowing yourself not to be limited in your perception by the body. Because this is another dimension that we enter when we go deeply into the central channel. It's another dimension of our own being. It's sacred space. So it helps to think of it that way because it is very, very sacred, the experience that we have and that we're cultivating every time we go into meditation. So we'll start at the base of the spine and just feel into the depths of the bottom of your pelvis. The tip of the tailbone is a reference point for that energetic area. So breathe into it and silently tone the Om sound within yourself and hold it as long as feels natural for you. Repeat it whenever it feels like time and hold your attention in that space. So we're going to wait for 9 times. So just allow yourself to be in that space. You don't have to count. Whenever you're ready, move to the energy center below the belly button. Now move into the solar plexus at your own pace. Moving into the heart space whenever you're ready. And now into the throat center. And now up to the third eye. And now the top of the head. allow yourself to experience your energetic system in whatever way feels appropriate to you for a few minutes. Again, at your own pace. As you're ready, gently open your eyes, holding to the space, the deep, rich silence inside. We want to talk a little bit about silence. When we say all parts are welcome, we're talking about the waves of whatever that flow through us as we live our daily lives. But it is this contact with the dynamic silence, dynamic presence, whatever language we want to use, that brings us into contact, which is with that which is our source. When our mind becomes quiet, and our beingness opens to this divine presence. It's silent, but it's so potent. It really defies language. And it's not exactly about the silence itself, it's about the quiet mind. And it's not really about that either, because we don't notice our mind by its quiet. What we notice is the potency itself. And this is our source. And it's expanding our experience in and of that we are here to bring to you. And as with, the sudden arrival of this storm, anything can happen to any of us in any moment. And to allow ourselves to experience that awareness, even for a moment, helps us appreciate this potency. And when we die, this is the thing to pay attention to release ourselves into this potency, which is ultimate reality. And our suspicion is that we don't really have a choice about it, but that in welcoming it, that's what we have a choice about. We have a choice to welcome our dissolution into this potency, which is why we practice, so that we recognize it as the gift it is, the gift of connection to what's real about us and about the multiverse and where it all converges. And in this understanding, it leads us to the experience of compassion for everyone, because we finally have compassion for ourselves, because we understand how difficult it is to maintain any balance, especially in a world that's shifting as fast as what we're experiencing. And this speed at which the world is moving and the information is tumbling on us seems to be advancing and beyond geometric proportions, like it's the square of itself every single day. And so this velocity it's beyond, we are beyond overstimulated, those of us who are sensitive to this velocity. And all human beings are sensitive to it. It's just how much we try to tune it out that varies. So meditation is the opportunity to do the reverse of that, to actually allow our bodies and minds to let go of being stimulated. And experience this deep sense of allowing our creative potency to be present. And we'll say that this close proximity of Moon and Pluto well, it's a little bit like experiencing heaven and hell in the same moment. There's this feeling of violent toxicity next to expansive, nurturing, and comfort. And a deep sense of emotional wellness. These things are merged at the moment. Now, fortunately, Moon is moving away from Pluto, and Pluto is retrograde, so it's moving away from Moon and looking away from Moon. So it was much worse a few hours ago. And Moon moves pretty quickly. So it won't last for long. The worst of it is past Portland anyway. But it's interesting to notice how powerful that is. And of course, it influences everything for everybody. But fortunately, it's one of those transits that doesn't last long. Moon moves 13 and a little bit more degrees a day. So that's quite a bit. It's through a sign in 3 days. So if you have Moon powerfully in your chart, it means you're quite a changeable person. As your experience inside is always. And we have that. So. How may we serve this morning? What else is up? What's been happening with you? Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
Well, I appreciate the moon discussion. I've just been on this wild ride for the past couple days, and it's been pretty intense. It's my birthday today.
Congratulations.
71 years.
Oh, we're the same age.
I know.
I just
3
had my
days
birthday
earlier.
on Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 days earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
This meditation just kind of helped smooth me out, so I appreciate it, and I appreciate the information always.
yeah, well, happy birthday.
Well, yeah, thank you.
How does
Yeah.
it feel to you to be 71?
Well, I don't know. The past couple days, yesterday was pretty rough, just as far as the energy went, and this morning too, and last night. But I can feel that clearing that you're talking about, the moon moving. So I'm grateful. So and getting some clearing with our meditation was really, really helpful. And how do I feel about? It's a slightly mixed, but I feel good. I feel good about it. Yeah. And I communicated quite a few times in the middle of the night with spirit, and spent some time at the Anasa temple and that creek that's at the Anasa temple. I've been enjoying laying myself down and hearing the sounds of water.
Water
So,
seems to be up, although
yeah,
the storm, I think it stopped raining. It,
yeah, that was
it
as
sounded
we
like a
started,
flood.
it just was pounding the thunder. It was
Yeah,
something in the giant drops, and I love
yeah,
that. That
me
is just
too.
really great.
I
So,
was thinking about the ark for a minute.
ah,
It's
yeah.
it's to me right now, the energy feels so intense that, when something like that happens, I start thinking, well, is it time to build the ark? It's like, the intensity of everything just feels that stimulating to me, like it's all gigantic. It's not just, the normal waves of it all feels like survival.
It's such a great reminder of the power in that. I love it. I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's just so exciting, and to feel the change in the weather being cooler and the darker clouds, and the colors of all the flowers and the juxtaposition of that is really, really beautiful. So
Yeah,
uh
it's exhilarating.
it is. My birds, I always have to calm them down when something wild's going on. It's okay. I explain to them it's just coming from the sky.
Yeah,
Uh, but thank you. Yeah, I'm glad I'm aboard this morning. So thank you so much.
you're so welcome. And happy birthday. Yeah. So 71 feels like it's no longer deniable that uh, being ancient is the outcome from here on out. But I can't say that I feel internally or even physically um, all that different from, it happens so slowly. I'm not noticing the deterioration. So maybe it's subtle. Um, of course, Anasa has been telling me for years that there's no reason that we deteriorate except that it's our own expectation that is programmed into our cells as our matrix of belief. And that if we stop believing that we're going to deteriorate before we die, it won't change the date of our death, but it will change the quality of our life between now and then. If we are capable of changing our matrix of belief to believe that deterioration is not necessary. They've spoken about that often. That in so many ways, our matrix of belief is a limitation, the limitation to our experience of ourselves as being completely loving beings, loving to the point of love being our reaction rather than having to fight through 10 different things to get to it. And none of us were raised in an environment where that was consistently practiced. Might have been verbalized a lot, but it was not consistently practiced. And so it's up to us to reprogram our matrix of belief. And the quickest way to do that is to cultivate the silence, the deep connection with source energy when our mind is not in the way. Love does not mean that we try to please everyone in our lives. That's an impossible task. And the most important thing is our connection to ourselves and our allegiance to that. And in that connection, we are fostering what's in the highest best. And in taking our wishes to the Inasa temple and filtering our statements through the highest best. We remove ourselves from outcome. And it also gives us the space to one of the problems we have when we talk about love is it can make us a target for manipulation and abuse. And, there's something to be learned from that. Mostly the limitations, our physical limitations in pleasing others. And, most of us in the cultivation of love and truth have ended up in that position more than once. And it takes a long time because we want to serve, we want to please other people, we want people to be happy. And at certain stages of our life, that's really appropriate. And at other stages of our life, it's not. And that's when we have to figure out, what really serves. And serving ourselves cannot be left out of the equation. I don't know, I'm not remembering in the moment who's told me this over and over, but when your energy becomes, your physical energy becomes less available, then the choices you're making are about how you spend it. What are the most valuable places for your energy? I think it comes from my friend over there. But anyway, how you spend your energy is the real equation. What's important? And how you decide what's important, the Nasa Temple is a great place to just go and ask. For myself, I find that when I finally do that, I'm usually so exhausted that I can't even hear the answer. All I can do is lay on the floor and let myself recover before I can even hear an answer. Because I'm usually there because I've ignored the signals of exhaustion in creating priorities that no longer work. And so we're going to encourage you to do the same thing when things are not working the way you hoped. Go to the Inasa Temple and be quiet. Allow yourself to recover. And when you have recovered enough, ask to, the question they've given me over and over again is ask, what am I not seeing? Because when we're out of alignment, it's because we can't see what we're doing that's creating that situation. What is it that I need to see that I'm not seeing? And believe it or not, that's what an open mind is. You can't see the outcome when you ask that question. And that's what surrender is. You open yourself to the unexpected. Because you see, whatever it is you're doing, it's not exactly working for you or the whole. And so that's not alignment. So you step back and you say, what am I not seeing? And you open your mind and your spirit to be informed. Yes.
I wanted to say thank you for showing the difference or talking about the difference between pleasing people and loving them. For the longest time in my life, the middle of my life was about taking care of others and making sure that they felt supported and cared for. And now I don't have the energy for that, for doing it the way that I used to do it. And it felt like maybe they didn't feel as loved. I've heard that from somebody else in the group that people might have felt abandoned in a way. But there is quite the difference between loving people and doing for them, trying to make them happy or bring them some sort of uplifting experience. But the other thing was bringing in the concept of the shadow, which seemed like what you were describing. I just came across an article talking about Jung's idea of the shadow in ourselves, and that's the part we can't see about ourselves. And I was wondering, well, how do you get to be able to see that? And bringing that question to the Anatha temple is the way to open the door to uh, the answer, the something becomes more possible. That becomes more possible because the shadow is very well, you don't see it, and that's why it's the shadow. It's kind of like trying to pull yourself up or look at the back of your head. It but asking for guidance to see that it goes along with also the lump of coal behind my heart kind of thing, that it's all connected. um
Yeah, and there are also, numerous, I mean, therapy is very helpful in that way. It can be, um, because our matrix of belief is so it's very complex, the matrix of belief of a person in this culture, because we have all these overlays of illusion about freedom and equality and democracy, power, money, misogyny. All these things are just huge in our lives, and they require some very conscious sorting through to declutter our minds and begin to have some clarity of identity that we can really stand on, some clarity of experience about what love really is. And the value of self-love first, because it's very, very much a situation where we have to be aware of the level of our own oxygen masks before we take on another. And if we are serious about our own inner work, we have to create time and space for it. And if our quality of life is valuable, we have to stay true to it. And it redefines itself about every decade. And sometimes it's an affirmation that what we've been doing is absolutely right and we should keep doing it. And other times it's like, whoa, this isn't working anymore. What is the shift that needs to happen? And so this is another thing. Age appropriate behavior is different at different times. Yes.
Just yesterday, I was reviewing the stages, as you said, of sort of quantifying the different stages, the childhood, the in between transition, the young adult with child, and work, getting your finances and your home, your stability together, and that there were these distinct, although they merged, they were not abrupt changes, they were distinct changes. And the one before this one had grandchildren and a little bit more energy output than I felt I had. And now this one is a totally different one. And being with you has enhanced the quality of this one as well as other things, but the focus is totally different. And so what you're saying is that these appropriate stages that people go through, and it's very hard to relate in a way. There's an obstacle to relating to someone who's in a different stage of life where the priorities are totally different, where doing things has um, great deal of importance. Doing things in the world has a great deal of importance, and getting out there and having a voice and all that. And that is almost gone now. The silence is big in the life stage that I'm in now.
Well,
Silence and isolation, sort of.
having said everything that we've said today, we're going to back up a little bit and say that there is no stage of life in which contact with the deepest silence available to a human being is not appropriate. At every stage, that needs to be cultivated so that our action is based in fundamental growing the whole into our participation in this whole kaleidoscopic world. At any time can be completely realigned, regardless of age, stage, and demands on us, can be completely realigned by getting quiet and contacting that which is source. And so to say that any stage, it is natural for that to become a priority, just because as we are aware of our death approaching, we want to be in alignment as much as we possibly can to make that a joyous exit. But there is no time in our lives when it's not appropriate to spend time in contact with that source energy and discovering what the appropriate alignment at a given moment is. Where we want to weigh in with our energy, where it has the most value.
I
And
wonder, when I was speaking, there was no stage of life in which I'll just call it spirituality, but um, contact with the source wasn't happening. It was just in different forms. Um, Childhood was directed by our dad, and things were opened up. And then we had the period when we were first together that was psychedelics, and that was amazing. And then we had teachers in this center part that were fantastic. And so there has been no interruption all the way through every stage. This is just a different quality. There's a different quality about this, as you call it, third chapter. Um, and each one is different in profound ways, but always the same, what can I say, intention and connection. So, what I'm grateful for in this one is the transition to letting go of the former expressions or whatever, but also bringing them all together because they all contributed something amazing along the way.
yeah, the grandparent and the great-grandparent are wonderful stages where you get to expand in different ways. In other cultures, in India, especially for Indian men, I don't know if it's safe for Indian women, but there is a certain stage where it's socially acceptable to just walk out into the wilderness and become a sadhu.
That has occurred to me.
And certainly in native cultures, in the Americas also. When I was in Alaska, they used to, elderly people would get in a boat and float down the Yukon River. And the interesting thing was that the mouth of the Yukon River is Bethel, Alaska, and it at least was, I hope it still is, permafrost. And so a lot of people ended up there on welfare. and so it's we stopped and played a concert there on our on one of the tours that I was on when I taught in Alaska. We played a concert tour, and it was an amazing place because they built all the sewer pipes had to be above ground because it was permafrost. So they built things the same way they do in Miami, above the water. And so it was a very, very interesting place. Kind of sad. So those journeys down the river didn't exactly, many of them didn't end the way people expected them to, or and that's modern day. And these traditions often can't be lived out in modern life. Partly because we don't know how to take care of ourselves in the wilderness anymore. Wow, how did we get here? What else do you want to talk about today?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Directing. You talked about self-sustaining and coming to the temple to ask for that strength to be effective where we want to be or we feel we need to be, but when there are those that we can't help because they won't see it or won't receive it, I guess I'm trying to put together my ask or my question of how we can continue to self-sustain so that we can be the energy that we feel we need to be in that situation.
So the question is how to we're going to rephrase it and see if this makes sense. How to use our energy the most wisely in a situation where we can't exactly see how the best way to serve the situation is, what the best action is for the entire situation for the whole. So the answer is always go to the Inasa temple, and as you go, identify first of all, identify a leverage point where your input will have value. A leverage point that's really, really so important that you can do something that will have value. So that's the crisis intervention. And then serving the whole picture, you begin to speak to the people in the situation from the Inasa temple, because knowing a little bit about your situation, nothing is going to be heard by anybody from you in this dimension. Not possible for your voice to have any impact. So in acknowledging that, you have stepped away from any feedback, because you know that anything that you put into the situation is just going to come back at you in a squiggly way. So what you do is you search your experience for what you will refine it as you refine your message to the people involved, to what really can address the leverage point in them to make the change they need to make. And, so they're two very different people, and they each need very different messages. And you deliver them from the highest best, understanding that that's where your leverage point is, because you're really about loving the whole space. And because in both of these situations, what you really have to offer in terms of wisdom and experience cannot be taken in, just because of the stage of growth that the people are in. They're sort of flailing, I must do this by myself, even though it's impossible. And so you deliver that message. You offer what you can without expectation of appreciation where you can, but as minimally as possible, because responsibility is, big in the whole situation. And you really put your main effort into the psychic world where you can have an impact, because you are very, very powerful in that realm. You have yet to really experiment with how much power you do have, but you're completely competent in that realm, and learning how to work in it will really serve your life just 1,000%.
Feel that.
Yes.
I don't want to get ahead of myself and be detrimental. I just feel like I need to be.
There's no way you can be detrimental as long as you're paying attention to the highest. There's nothing you can do that's detrimental, and you have to stay out of 3D reality with it completely. You cannot offer anything, because it will only confuse the situation. It's not a situation that's yours, first of all. You understand this is not really your problem. It's not your problem. You have not created it. You have done nothing to sustain it, but some interventions that you could make it last a lot longer. And so be careful about your own energy in this. And that's not saying to exactly guard it, but you must precede it with your work in the Inasa temple so that you have clarity about what you're trying to do. And the first clarity is that this isn't your problem, and so you don't have to solve it. That should bring a sigh of relief.
I just want to be an effective tool.
You want to be an effective tool, but you don't want to be the main tool. And you want to participate in where you are appreciated. You want to participate where you are appreciated, so that there's flow. You're creating flow that comes back to you. It's no good to just pour your energy down a hole that comes back to you as resentment. That's not going to help you.
I don't want to be.
And it's not going to help the situation. All it does is create a vehicle for the toxicity, a receptor for the toxicity. So that's not where you want to be. Where you want to be is offering from a psychic level everything that's needed to help everybody to come from a place of wholeness, from a place of ability to take responsibility, a place of empowerment. But you can only do that from a psychic level. And you can't be at all attached to outcome, because, it may take a decade for one of those people to get empowered. And that's not your responsibility either. You didn't make that choice, and you have done nothing to sustain that choice. So you offer your energy on a psychic level to support growth and development. And other than that, you leave it. And same with any other physical thing, you do not step in without, you don't invite your own responsibility. You don't step in without a clear invitation. And, well, for how long do you want me to do whatever? And you say, I'm available with a limitation set into the, I'm available to do this for a week, but then we have to renegotiate, something like that. Like you set some boundaries for what feels comfortable and right for you. Because otherwise, a situation can go on indefinitely if you don't have any boundaries and you don't have any, you don't know psychically where you stand in the whole thing. And so the first thing is to get some clarity in the Inasa temple by speaking your truth to the people involved. And so that means that you sit and figure out your truth. And then you go to the Inasa temple. Once you're there, you invite the person to sit across from you. You invite the highest best of that person to come to the temple, be with you, and you deliver your highest best to their highest best. And then you drop the situation, you drop any attachment to outcome. And you do not participate, and you certainly don't initiate. And then when you do agree to some level of participation, you set boundaries. You set a clear boundary. I will do this for a week and then let's renegotiate. So you make everything a negotiation about your participation, and you enter with a clear vision for what you're doing for how long. And if you set this in place, and you'll be amazed how fast it happens, because once you make these psychic decisions, if the people have any sensitivity at all, they immediately come into alignment with them because there's nothing stronger in the field. And so you won't even have to say anything. And you'll be very surprised about that, because that's never been true before. But when your intention is clear, and we would advise that you think about what you want your own life to be and what you want your participation to be. And then you move forward with the goal of creating that. And we would say that is at this point, from what we know, that appreciated participation is maybe the first thing that you need to look for before there's an unlimited offer in the field.
They're
This-
willing to receive. Yeah, I hear it.
Well, what they're willing to ask for is different from what they're willing to receive. And so the acknowledgement of that on your part will help. See, nobody has any clarity in the situation. And so it's just this chaotic, it's a kaleidoscope of desire with no structure around it. And most of the desires have to do with avoiding responsibility for what's already occurred. And so you have to create your own boundaries. And part of that is you don't get involved unless you're wanted. Because otherwise you're just making yourself a target. And then that diverts all the energy that has any potential to do any good. So so the real thing to do is to figure out in the Anasa temple where the leverage points are psychically that you can speak to these people. Then you say your piece, and as you do that, your own flow will come into, where it belongs, and you'll be clear. And you're the only one who has any potential for clarity in this situation. But when you get clear, it will begin to fall into place around you, because you're the one with the power. But you have to use the power you have, which is psychic power. It is not the power to come in and fix the situation. Can't do it. There is nothing you can do that will fix this situation. Nothing, 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 nothing. And almost anything that you do in this moment will prolong it, because it becomes enabling for what's already happening, which is chaos. Does that make sense? Mm. Thank you for asking.
There's that challenge of, to not deplete ourselves.
That's very real.
Slow going, so yes.
Yes, and that is genuine. The physical limitation that you are experiencing in trying to recreate what you thought would be very simple, that's real. Your life is about something different now. That's what it's telling you. And so that's to be respected, honored, and taken into the equation. It doesn't mean that you're not available. It's very different. You're just available in a different way. And this is what we're saying about psychic participation. You have so much to offer. You can be the foundation that allows these people to figure out how to come into their own adulthood. But it's in a psychic level. You don't even have to say a word. They have access to that information if it's given through their highest selves. It will trickle down, and they'll, that they're searching for it. And some part of them is dying for it, each of them, because they really want a better life. Nobody wants to struggle like that. And so you give what's really needed, not what's being asked for. And what's really needed is your psychic support, and you have it to give. It's your turn to step up to the plate and be the matriarch that you are. Take the energy that you have and use it in the most effective way you can. And that's by talking to them in the ether, not on this plane. And, sometimes we just have to get hit so many times before we realize, oh, this doesn't work. Yeah, it's time to do something different. And this is it. And it will all realign. You'll be amazed at how it realigns. Totally. You can feel it. You can feel it in yourself that your whole being is reorganizing right now to take in the energy you've just been given and use it in a psychic way to really bring what's needed, because this is where your energy belongs now. You have created this in yourself through very hard work, this access to this energy. And now it's coming to you, and it's like, use it the way it needs to be used. Your life is not about the physical anymore. Congratulations. This is a big upgrade. You're so welcome. You've done the work. And you have the support of everybody on this call. Everybody is here. for you. This is a field that's available to you to make the change you need. Mm. Thank you, everybody. This has been really, really wonderful. We so appreciate your participation, your good wishes, and everybody's dedication to this work. It's really showing. It's really showing. We're so grateful. We don't really have time to meditate today, but it's been so wonderful to be with you. Thank you so much. Till next week or Thursday, Wednesday, I mean. It's so funny.
Just step down.
Okay, thank you. You take care.